What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to ItsRJTV. We got a Golf Clash video for the Skyline Cup tournament, kind of a guide of sorts. This is going to be focusing on pro and expert players, as all shots are taken from the second tee. These are older holes, so I just want to get that out of the way first. I did not come across any new holes, and a few of these are actually about a year old, so that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is there's not a bunch of elevation. We're not going to be dealing with 40, and things like that. So on most cases, if you struggle with the elevation, this might be a tournament that you really like. I'd also like to invite you to like ItsRJTV on Facebook. I believe it's just facebook.com/ItsRJTV, or you could just put ItsRJTV in the space bar. And I also want to say a lot of the shots that I'm taking here could potentially work, but also remember, we don't know what the winds are going to be. So with that in mind, I wouldn't try these shots exactly. This is just kind of like to get you feeling like what you're going to be facing, and I'll be commentating as we go. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so on this very first hole, you could use a quarterback because I laid up. You can't really see it here, but the wind, see how the wind, now you can see it, 8.8 miles an hour in my face. I had to lay up. Now, we may not have to lay up here, but I had to lay up because the wind was in our face. If we have wind at our back, we could probably make it over in one. I'm using the extra mile here. I don't know why, as the quarterback would be fine for this type of shot. I'm using a katana. Quasar would work as well if you're playing in pro. And I'm just laying up over to the side of the sand here, being very careful not to go in the sand or the rough to ruin my second shot. Another thing is I'm not showing putts. This is just down to business. Second shot, I would bring the Goliath simply because you don't know how far up you're going to get. It's nice just to have the room of the Goliath. I would also go full left spin, and then you're going to adjust according to your wind. Let me move this again. As you can see, we have another 8.3 mile an hour wind. Even though it's a crosswind, it's kind of in our face. By putting that full left spin on, that allows me to great proof my shot, so I won't end up in that little bunker or in the on the grass. So it's important to use full left spin on your approach shot here. If full left spin does not get you to the hole, you might want to add a little bit of curl. But as you can see with the katana, that wasn't necessary. I believe I do come into the right of the hole, so maybe a little bit would have helped, but look how it funnels towards the hole for an easy putt. So that's hole one. Hole two is coming up next, and here we're not even going to worry about that island. This is kind of a tricky shot. I'm sorry, the first shot I believe is about 10%. The second shot, I'm not 100% either, but I believe it's also 10% adjustment. But what's tricky about this second shot, which can be taken with a Marlin or a Quasar in about 2 backspin with the wind I'm facing, is the drive itself, it doesn't have big elevation, but the ball guide's going to trick you a little bit because there's an elevation after the first bump, as you can see here from this shot. So I put a little bit of backspin on because I believe, if I remember correctly, this does slope to the back, and this is not an easy hole to get an ace on, but if you can get close and putt, that's all you really need. Third hole, no elevation. Yes, you heard me right. No elevation on this hole. I would use an extra mile. Thor's hammer will work. Big topper can work. I'm going straight up, which I guess would also kind of be to the left, you could consider, with full top spin. And what I want to do is I want to bounce over and land on that pad to give me a good shot at, with the sniper for the second shot. So here I hit it great. I don't believe I overpowered that shot. And the bounce, we get lucky with that second bounce. It's most likely going to clip the rough. I thought we bounced over the rough there, but I'm not certain. But if you clip the rough, you should be fine as well. And then for your second shot here, this is a 10% uphill shot. So we're not going to use full topspin as you see here, but we are going to use about 2.5 bars of topspin just to make sure we get up there. However, we come in kind of hot, so maybe 2 bars of topspin with this kind of wind. Again, 10% over adjust on this shot, and I only put the topspin on my shot here because the green is elevated. So that's something you want to be careful of because you don't want to roll back off. I believe you'll end up in the rough. I am using a Titan. You could use a Kingmaker to knock down the wind. You do need a power 3 ball for this hole to play it the way I did. And as we come in, thank goodness, we hit the pole head on and we get the albatross. Next, we have hole number 4, which is the largest elevation of the course with 20%. Okay, this part looks different because my original video, I had the wrong par 3. As you see, I am still setting up for the rough bump. I should probably be using 1 to 2 backspin, even though there's a headwind, because as you'll see, I will still go a little bit too far, but the rough bump is definitely the way to play this hole. 20%. I'd like to give a big shout out to Ray Huron, who pointed out that the first video had the incorrect hole here, and now it is fixed, and that's why the video looks goofy here, because I fixed it. Back to the regular video. Man, I can't keep up with the video. Extra mile or better. This is one of the trick shots I did. As you could see, Thor's hammer does have enough curl, but I am using a power 4 ball here. I'm going with full top spin, and I had one left spin. Don't know if that was necessary, but this is going to be one of those special hook shots. And because it's a trick shot, you know, the wind was just right. Pay attention to the wind. You'll see some of the big streamers out there, if they can devise a shot to get on the green like this, and, well, not on the green, but to get within a wedge shot in one is an excellent opportunity. It's 10% uphill for the second shot if you play that shot safe. Hole number 6, this is a 5% shot. We are going to the right with full right spin. I would use a power 3 ball, but I would also use a ball with 3 side spin. So Kingmaker seems to make the most sense. You want to go about 2 or 3. How much top spin did I put on that? I'm not even 100% sure. But you want to go with, as you can see, about half a ball of right curl. You could probably even go up to 3/4 of right curl with full right spin and 3 top spin, and that should keep you off of the rough. Make sure you adjust that 5%. Basically, 5% isn't much, but you want to great proof your shot because this is a very albatross-able hole. However, is albatrossable a word? This is also 10% shot with sniper. So at 8.8, I should adjust around 7.8, probably 8 rings at this particular point here. I do use the sniper with backspin. We definitely want backspin as we don't want to roll with this side wind. Now, if we have headwind on this second shot, I'm not sure, but I end up putting just a little too much backspin on, and I clipped the rough, but it was still an easy eagle, and this is definitely a must eagle hole. As we see me take the shot, I'm just trying to keep up with the video. Oh man, I got to get used to this, guys. Sorry about that. But see, we used the pad to go over. That's where I clipped the rough. If I didn't clip the rough, it would have been a much nicer shot, but that's a very easy chip. I don't care if you got a 10-mile-an-hour wind. Now we're going to hole 7. On this particular hole, I like the Goliath. You can use a Quasar. As you can see, I'm knocking down the wind with a Kingmaker. I would go with about 2 backspin and full-ish right spin. You could also use a B52 here. You just don't want to be in between clubs. I like the length here because I don't want to run into, say, you know, I don't want to reach the limits of the club. Now, I'm using a power 3 ball, so I could have used anything. But you could use a Quasar here. As you'll see when I'm making my adjustment, I'm not using any of the extra distance that this ball gives me. So that's why I really like the Goliath or the B52 if you have it upgraded enough. It doesn't really use much spin. And I came in really close to the hole. Another one that isn't easy to sink. Now, hole number 8 is a 10% hole. Got a lot to say here. I would say extra mile or better. Now, look where I'm aiming. There's hills and valleys. There's like a valley right up the middle, and the sides of the fairway are taller. So I'm going full left spin, full top spin, and I'm aiming for the left side of the fairway, but I'm also going to overpower a little because I kind of want to hit the down slope of that first hill up there to have better control of the ball. And I'm going to also put curl on, not that much. There we go. I'm going to put about, I think it's supposed to be about a quarter ball curl, just to play it safe, to also make sure that the ball doesn't hit the side of the hill and bounce all the way over to the right side. As you can see, though, that was the perfect amount. And this is where we stop on the fairway. Now, our second shot, you're going to need a club. Look at this. You're going to need every bit of 170 yards on your wood club. I am not too happy that I brought this particular club, the Guardian, because I did have the Sniper 10. That would have been better. But if your Sniper is not at least level 10, you're going to either have to bring a power 4 ball or so, power 5 maybe, if you want to use your Sniper for your second shot. Or I would even recommend a big dog. This, as you can see, the theme that we see here is an elevated green, and that makes sinking these shots very hard. You know, my Guardian does have very good distance on it. I know at least has 178 yards. See that bounce that it takes? That shortens the ball guide up some. Anyway, we made it all the way to hole 9. And here on hole 9, we got another trick shot. I'll move it over a little bit so you can see we have an 11-mile-an-hour wind at about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And I'm going to take advantage of that and see how I'm pointing the arrow straight up. There we go. Now if I max overpower it, I'll see exactly about where it's going to hit, just past the white ring. And with this particular wind, the way we played this was actually you put spin on the ball one way and we put curl on the ball another. It was full top spin, full left spin, full overpower, full left curl to land on the right fairway. I mean, that sounds kind of odd, but you'll see. We get our first bounce, and right there, you know, the shot's coming in perfect. Now, unfortunately, we are unable to roll all the way through to the fairway on the other side. However, if you do have a Nirvana, you're in good shape, because the Nirvana with the power 5 ball will definitely reach, even if we have headwind. As you can see, I'm only using 2 extra yards on this club at this point. Look how much further I can stretch it up. Plus, I'm using backspin. And that's how the video ends. Thank you so much for watching. If this helped you in any way, hit those thumbs up buttons. It helps YouTube show my video to more people searching. I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you 7 o'clock when I stream. Have a great night, and thank you so much once again for watching. Take care.
Nice on.